Have you ever wondered why you've been studying English for so long, but still can't seem to make real progress? Do you feel frustrated when vocabulary and grammar rules keep haunting you like an impossible challenge? Welcome to Kunzy Podcast English, the place where I'll share with you never-before-revealed secrets to truly improve your English. In today's episode, My Secrets to Better English, I'll reveal simple yet powerful strategies that will help you break language barriers, gain confidence in communication, and make steady progress every day. Join me on this journey to conquer English. You won't want to miss a single moment. Starting from shyness and fear. There were days when I spoke English and I couldn't even believe myself. Clumsy, awkward sentences just spilled out, making me feel like I was on stage with all eyes waiting to catch every mistake and laugh. I wanted to give up, to stay silent forever. But strangely, I didn't stop. I found a special friend, a book, quietly opening its arms to welcome every clumsy sentence, every silly mistake I brought along. That book never got tired, never judged, never interrupted. I talked to every page as if speaking to my closest friend, who patiently listened no matter how awkward I sounded. And then a miracle began to happen. The language was no longer dry letters. It started to seep into my heart, becoming part of me. Every word seemed to dance inside my soul, no longer just lying on paper or in my head. I wasn't afraid to speak anymore, no longer needed anyone to correct every tiny mistake. I knew that as long as I persisted, sentence by sentence, I would make English my own. And my story began at that moment, when I truly started to have a conversation, not with others, but with the pages, with myself. Have you ever felt that magic? If not yet, let's take this journey together, because many surprises still await us ahead. When emotions become the key to remembering. I used to think learning English was simply about memorizing vocabulary, grammar, and repeating things mechanically. I was obsessed with correcting mistakes, speaking perfectly, and getting every word right. But one day, everything changed completely when I realized that what truly helped me improve wasn't perfection or boring exercises. It was emotions. Emotions, something I rarely paid attention to in my studies, suddenly became the key that opened a new door, revealing a vibrant English world I had never known. Instead of focusing only on fixing mistakes, I began to notice the simple stories English told, small stories packed with immense power. There were stories that made me stop and ask myself, why can such a simple story stir my heart so deeply? Sometimes when reading the climaxes, I couldn't hold back tears. My heart raced and waves of emotion surged through me like the ocean. And a miracle happened. Vocabulary and grammar weren't just dry numbers or symbols anymore. They became vivid images, unforgettable feelings. I realized that emotions don't just make learning easier. They imprint everything deeply into my mind. No technique or learning trick can compare to the power of emotions when learning a new language. When you cry, laugh, and empathize with an English story, you're not just learning a language, you're living it, breathing it, and making it part of yourself. Have you ever wondered why an English song or movie sticks in your mind for so long? It's because they carry emotions, and emotions are what the brain remembers most easily. From that moment, I started hunting for stories and lessons that could awaken my feelings. Every day was no longer boring study hours, but an adventure into the world of English, where emotion and language blended and flourished. Learning English through emotions not only helped me remember longer, but also created huge motivation, making me never want to give up. I knew that every time my heart was touched by a story, I was getting closer to mastering this language naturally and sustainably. What about you? Are you ready to listen to English stories full of emotion? Do you want to turn learning English into a colorful, emotional journey instead of just numbers and dull exercises? Let your emotions guide you. Open the secret door that brings you closer to English and the vast world beyond. Don't miss out. This journey has only just begun, and surprises await you ahead in every story. Every feeling that English brings. Choosing books not by difficulty, but by emotion. During the early days of learning English, I believed that to improve quickly, I had to read difficult books. Thick volumes filled with complex words I could barely understand. I forced myself to read, to grasp every sentence and every word, despite the growing frustration and heaviness each time I turned a new page. But after those exhausting days, I realized a simple yet profound truth. Learning shouldn't feel like a burden. And more importantly, emotions are what keep me going, pushing me forward each day. I began to change my approach. I stopped choosing books based on difficulty and started choosing them based on how they made me feel. I sought out short, simple stories that weren't complicated but were full of meaning and strength. These stories might be simple, but they touched my soul deeply, making me think, feel, and even cry. Not just because of sadness, but because of empathy, lessons about perseverance, hope, and the power of human will. There's one story about a little bird that couldn't fly that I will never forget. It wasn't a long or complicated story, just about a small, fragile creature facing its own limits and tirelessly trying to overcome them. The first time I read it, I cried. Not just because of the words, but because of the courage in every tiny step the bird took. That little bird taught me more than any dictionary or grammar book ever could. It taught me about perseverance, believing in myself, and how we can rise above our greatest weaknesses. I understood that the best books are those that evoke deep emotions. A good book doesn't have to be difficult to help me grow. Emotions are the bridge that helps me absorb, remember, and find inspiration to never give up. Every page I read now isn't just words or grammar structures. It's stories that empower, life lessons that make me want to become a better version of myself. Learning English through emotional stories changed how I view studying. It's no longer a burden or pressure, but a joyful journey of discovery and experience. When we learn with our hearts, English stops being a foreign language and becomes the language of connection, feelings, and life values. I believe each of us can find the right book, not because it's hard, but because it touches our hearts, inspiring us to keep moving forward. And you too, don't try to pick books just to prove you're smart or to race others. Choose stories that move you, that make you want to keep reading no matter the difficulty. Because then you're not just learning English, you're learning how to live, how to be patient, and how to trust yourself. That's the most sustainable and lasting path to mastering a language, not through pressure, but through passion and genuine emotion. The first books that built the foundation. When I first started learning English, I wondered, how far can these simple books really take me? But it was from those small books with vivid illustrations and simple words like eat, sleep, and run that I built a strong foundation for the journey ahead. They weren't just books. They became my first friends, guiding me step by step. Those books weren't complicated, yet they held a magical power. I vividly remember the feeling when reading short dialogues between two characters. I would take on both roles, speaking to myself through every sentence. At times, I could hear echoes of hope, courage, and friendship weaving through the stories, stirring my heart and urging me never to give up. I especially loved books with repetition, not the rigid kind of rote memorization, but gentle, natural repetition, like familiar melodies playing repeatedly in the soul. That repetition helped me remember vocabulary and structures naturally without pressure or fatigue. Each repeated story was like a reminder, you can do this. Stay persistent. That's when I realized learning English isn't a lonely or dull journey. Every book became a close friend, every story a fresh source of inspiration, fueling my energy and strength to keep moving forward. Those first books laid a solid foundation, helping me believe that no matter how hard it gets, with persistence and feeling it with your heart, you can conquer the language. Have you ever wondered what makes a simple book capable of changing your life? It's the sincerity and emotions conveyed through every page that turn letters from dry symbols into the living heartbeat of a story. And you? Start with the smallest steps, because only by building a strong foundation can you fly higher and farther than ever before. A simple yet effective English reading plan. My journey to learn English didn't start with complicated strategies or high-pressure methods. Instead, I chose a gentle, persistent, and practical path. A step-by-step reading plan that is simple yet incredibly effective, helping me improve day by day without feeling tired or discouraged. I began by selecting books that matched my level. The key wasn't to pick thick, difficult classics that I wasn't ready for, but to find stories that were familiar, accessible, and used simple but meaningful and emotional language. When the books felt manageable, I felt more comfortable, free from pressure, and naturally developed a reading habit. Each day, I focused on slowly reading just one page. No rushing, no forcing myself to understand everything at once. I let every word and sentence seep into my mind, feeling the rhythm and emotions the story conveyed. This slow pace helped me connect deeply with the language and naturally expand my vocabulary without strain. After reading the page, I repeated it 2 to 3 times in the same session. Repetition didn't just help me remember vocabulary and sentence structures, but also made the story feel familiar and close, like a trusted friend I wanted to meet every day. With each repetition, I discovered new details, felt the story more deeply, and built a solid foundation to keep moving forward. Not stopping there, I wrote down 1 or 2 favorite sentences in my study notebook. This act helped me not only memorize, but also better understand how to use words, grammar, and convey emotions through writing. Those handwritten sentences stood as proof of my progress and a powerful motivation to keep going. Every time I looked back, I realized how far I had come since day 1. Besides that, I practiced speaking those sentences from memory. No need to be perfect or have flawless pronunciation, but the key was to dare to try, to express myself, and gradually build confidence. Each time I spoke was a step past fear, a small but valuable milestone on my journey to master English. I understood that perfection didn't come instantly. What mattered was making steady progress every day. Finally, I took time to feel the story. Sometimes I smiled at joyful details, sometimes tears welled up at touching moments, and sometimes I sat quietly reflecting on the deep messages the author wanted to share. Learning English for me wasn't just about the language. It was also about learning to feel life. opening my heart and understanding myself better. This learning plan was neither heavy, nor stressful, nor forced. It was the perfect combination of joy, emotion, and knowledge. It helped me improve day by day, build a strong foundation for my English skills, and most importantly, create a sustainable learning habit that's hard to give up. Have you ever thought that with just a few minutes each day, learning in a simple, emotional, and gentle way like this, you could truly conquer English steadily and effectively? That's the power of a good learning plan. No need to be complicated or rushed, just persistence, passion, and steady steps that bring truly valuable results on the journey to mastering a new language. The gradual transformation. One day, while deeply immersed in a simple English story, a magical feeling suddenly washed over me. I no longer had to translate each sentence, each word in my head. All the barriers that once seemed insurmountable suddenly turned into a bridge connecting my heart to the vast world beyond. English was no longer a strange language, no longer a wall separating me. It became a close companion, leading me into stories, emotions, and new experiences. I began to understand English not with a dry mind, but with my heart, naturally, just like my mother tongue. This wasn't an instant miracle, but the result of a long, persistent journey. I stopped learning English just to memorize grammar or vocabulary or to drill boring tests. Instead, I lived it every day. English became part of my life, a breath, a melody that soothes me every night. I didn't learn it out of pressure or to prove anything but to communicate, to convey my truest emotions in a new language, to perceive the world in a deeper and different way. The most wonderful thing was that the fear and shyness that once made me hesitate gradually disappeared. In their place came joy, confidence, and a sense of freedom each time I listened, read, or spoke English without worry or hesitation. English was no longer a challenge, but a daily joy, an endless source of inspiration that connected me with people and stories from all over the world. I no longer learned English for grades or recognition, but to open my heart, overcome language barriers, and live fully. This change was also a profound transformation within myself, in how I viewed learning and life. Every day, those small steps I took, reading a page, repeating a story, practicing simple sentences, built a new version of myself. Persistent, confident, and passionate. English was no longer a barrier, but an opportunity. No longer a pressure, but a powerful motivation pushing me forward. I realized that learning English isn't a lonely journey, but a colorful adventure where I not only learn a language, but also learn how to live, how to love, and how to open my heart wider. It's a journey from fear to joy, from shyness to confidence, and from the first hesitant steps to a life full of freedom and meaning. You can experience this transformation too. Don't be afraid to start. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't hesitate to step out of your comfort zone, because it is in this process that you will find your inner strength, discover your own path to linguistic and emotional freedom. Be patient, be passionate, and let English become your companion on the journey to change your life. If you are ready, that journey is waiting for you, and I believe you will conquer it, step by step, until one day you can say, I'm not just learning English, I'm living it. Looking back on the journey, from a single page to a grand dream. I started with a small book, just a simple line, but that was the beginning of a life-changing journey. There were no expensive classes, no great teachers, no ideal environment, just one thing: perseverance, relentless and unwavering. I remember those early days when I could only read a few words, my pronunciation awkward and clumsy. I wondered, can I really go further? But day by day, I kept telling myself to keep trying, never give up even when I was tired and discouraged. Each page, each little story became a source of motivation, like a light shining through the darkness, guiding me steadily along that difficult path. Now, after months and years of persistence, I can confidently read thicker books, talk with native speakers, write down my thoughts, and share my feelings in English. But more importantly, I have transformed English from a challenge into a companion, a bridge to a wider world and opportunities I never dreamed of. I'm not telling this story to boast, but to send you a message. Learning English or any skill is not distant or unattainable. If I can do it, you absolutely can. Truly, what matters most is not where you start, but whether you dare to keep going, to hold on to your faith, and to keep striving. A small page might be a simple beginning, but it is the solid foundation on which you can build great dreams and open doors you never thought possible. Believe that every small step, every simple story can change your life in ways you never imagined. I believe your journey can start today with patience, belief, and a heart ready to embrace every challenge and new experience. Don't fear making mistakes. Don't be afraid to start late or from zero. Let English be not just a language, but the key that opens the door to your dreams, your opportunities, and a bright future. You are not alone on this path, and I believe you will find the strength to go far beyond every limit you once thought was impossible. So start today and allow yourself to dream bigger, to walk further. That wonderful journey is waiting for you, with all the miracles you've never known and the successes waiting for you to conquer. A message for you. Just start. Do you know the most wonderful thing about learning a new language? It's not about being perfect. It's about daring to start. That's right. You don't need to be good right from the beginning. You don't need to know all the vocabulary or speak English like a native speaker immediately. The most important thing is that you take that first step on your journey, one small step at a time, even if it's slow or hesitant. You might make mistakes, you might feel shy, but remember, no one is born perfect. Everyone starts from zero. The only difference is that they keep trying. And you absolutely can do it too. All you need is a small book, 1 page a day, a little spark of emotion rising inside you as you read, and a tiny bit of belief that you will improve day by day. English is not confined to rigid textbooks. It's not just a set of dry rules to memorize. It truly lives in your heart, in stories, in real-life experiences. When you learn English through stories and genuine feelings, you are building a strong bridge between yourself and the outside world, a place where you can freely communicate and express who you are. The lesson I've learned from my journey is, never let fear or shyness hold you back. You don't need to be perfect from day one. You just need to start and keep your perseverance. Gradually, you will find yourself growing stronger, more confident each day. Let every page you read, every story you hear, every word you repeat become bricks building your English knowledge home. And if you're hearing these words, if you feel a small spark of motivation or inspiration inside you, take action today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Choose a book. Open to the first page and open a new door in your life. No matter how hard the path is, remember that those who persevere always win. Finally, if you find this message helpful, If you feel inspired to start or continue your English learning journey, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next motivational lessons and stories. Every support from you is a huge source of energy that helps me keep creating meaningful content and accompany you on your English conquest. Remember, no one can do it for you, but I'm here, walking with you every step of the way. Start right now because you deserve the best opportunities in your life. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next stories.